Hi, my name is jellymantis.exe, and I'm running for narrator of this video. As narrator, I can promise you that we will complete the carving step in this video. Thank you. Enough of the time lapses, enough of the information panels telling us that you're carving dwarven ruins. We will be done with the carving, and we will continue to paint. Thank you. With that being said, during the painting portion of this video, you might pick up on what appears to be whining. And you are correct. I was whining. But I no longer feel that way. I'm very happy with the results of how our painting turned out, and we have a plan in motion to rectify the mistakes that we made during the painting process. Thank you. No, thank you. The box is not ruined, I can assure you. The box is not ruined. And if you elect me as your narrator for this video, I will show you how we will fix the box. Thank you. God bless. Alright, let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to show you how I plan to repair our design where we kind of ran off the edge there. I've reprinted our braid to be able to fit in between, our smallest dimension, which would be the top of this arch and where we initially made the cut. So I've reprinted a braid that should fit in there perfectly. Okay, so what I've done here is I've cut out our braid, which is a little bit thinner than our last design, and I went ahead and just tried to sand down this corner as best I could, and you can still see there's some discoloration, but honestly when you feel it, you don't feel that groove anymore, which is great. So that means when we paint it, that should disappear. And I kind of just lined up our template with like our existing wood burning cut, so we can use that existing cut. And we just sanded this one down. So yeah, let's go ahead and cut this one. This clip had some copyright music playing in the background, so unfortunately you're stuck with me instead. Here are the wood burning results. If you watched my previous episodes, you know what this is. Once again, I had some copyright music playing, so here's what the carving looks like. Pretty good, eh? Alright, I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of where we are currently at. I've carved the front braid and the border on the front. And I was going to start working on the sides, and what I noticed is, if I put the hardware back in, because I want to reuse the same hardware, we'll probably recolor it somehow. But if I put these handles back in, originally I had wanted to put the border along the top here, And as you can see, that the hardware would cover up some of that border. So I was thinking, what if I put the border along the bottom? That way on the front, on the lid, you have the border, and then on the side, as kind of a balance, we'll put the border on the bottom here. That way the handle is by itself. We've got the border on the bottom. And then moving on to the back, originally I had the border just along the top and kind of the rest of the back exposed or open, plain. I might regret this later, but I think I want to do two borders here, one on the top, one and one on the bottom. And I think when we put our belts on here, that will look really good, right? So from a back view of the box, there you go. Yeah, it'll kind of wrap around the back of the box, around the top of the lid where it sits flush, and then around the bottom of the box. Looks a little wacko right now, but I think it'll look really good when we're done. I do believe this marks the end of the carving phase. We've got our side here. If I put the hardware in as out of the way of the handles, gives us plenty of space. Our front, we've got the border with a large braid on the front. We've got the other side with the border on the bottom portion. On the back, we've got the border on the top and the bottom. That's our main box. For the tray, we've got the longer braid. We've got the Dethic translation of roll zone. We've got another braid, and the same Dethic on the other side. And then for the lid, we've got the EXE border around the entire perimeter, this more narrow side. And on the top, we've got a large Dethic Z, the two belt grooves, and our Dwarven runes on the side. Enter at your own risk. The next step on our process router was going to be to create any sort of decorative molds and attach those to the box. So those would be things that have like a positive impression, whereas these carvings have like a negative impression. If we wanted to have like little symbols or maybe some runes kind of in 3D that are raised, this is where we would create those, but I'm feeling pretty confident about how the chest looks now. The other portion of that step was going to be to create new little handles for our tray. Remember, it had little handles that you could kind of pull out. And the other part was going to be creating side handles, new side handles. But I've come to the decision that I'm just going to reuse the existing side handles and we'll just recolor them. That'll save me a little bit of money on either crafting or buying new hardware. And originally I thought of either molding or 3D printing little handles, or either handles or little handles. But I think the problem with 3D printing is that the type of resin that I'm using is so brittle that if I were to try to thread it into the wood and then if any sort of pressure was applied, it would just snap right off. And I'm kind of thinking the same with the side handles, is that if we had a peg that went through here and somehow attached on the other side, if we put too much weight into the box and tried to pick it up from the handles, that either those pegs or the handles themselves would just snap clean off. So like I said, I'm going to reuse the side handles. We'll give them a new color, a new theme that will match. And then we'll have to figure out something that we can do with the little handles that kind of pull the tray out for us. With that being said, that means we can go ahead and move on to the next step, which is painting. So we can go ahead and start experimenting with the hammered metal texture to put on the box. And then we'll also do something with this here hardware to make it match. So this is what I'm going to be using. It's Rust-Oleum hammered. You can see the texture, it's just kind of like cracked and dented like a metal gloss. And hopefully that'll look like some sort of metal or stone on wood. First thing I want to do is a little experiment on the bottom of the tray. Let's just see how it's going to look. I have a tool for this that'll make it easier. Hold on. Alright. Color looks good, but the texture is not really coming through that well, so what I'm gonna do is prime it first. Maybe a layer of primer will kind of give the texture something to build off of. I mean, it looks cool, but it doesn't look like what we were going for. Let that dry for a couple seconds. That's looking better, so that's what we're gonna do. This is looking really good now that it's drying up. Maybe you can see there. Yeah, you can kind of see that texture coming through. So I think I just need to lay it on thick maybe. Lay it on kind of thick, because down here it's still just kind of glossy smooth, but up here it's starting to get that texture. That's the secret, is you have to lay it on thick. Okay, so this has been a little bit more complicated than I was hoping for. I'm going to take you through the whole rundown. I started off by using this Rust-Oleum hammered metal texture. Hides surface imperfections. Indoor-outdoor works on metal, wood, and more. No primer needed. Can apply directly over rust. And this is what you saw me put on outside, and it just looked like chrome to me. The texture didn't really come through. I think maybe because I didn't prime the box well enough, but it kind of just gave it this chrome metallic look. It didn't really have the hammered texture to it. So I went and got this Rust-Oleum Universal Forged Hammered Paint and Primer. And it's a little darker. I'll show you the two. You can see it's just a slightly darker shade, and the texture looked a little more textured on this can. So this is what you're looking at right now, is the Rust-Oleum Universal Advanced Formula Forged Hammered Paint and Primer in one. Again, any surface, wood, metal, plastic, masonry. The problem that I'm having with this one is that on the can, dries to touch in 30 minutes, to handle in 1 hour, and fully dry in 24 hours. This has been sitting here for maybe 48 hours, maybe longer. and it's still kind of tacky. It doesn't feel tacky to the touch, but if I rest something on it, like my hand, even while I'm looking at it, and I go to pull it off, I can feel, that it's not 100% dry yet. So I have it sitting on these, see, it just stuck to that little triangle, but these are just like little risers. So this is a great example where I was painting it and it got stuck to the table, and I went to try to pull it up as easily as I could, and it has torn all 3 or 4 layers off of the lid. Because we had either 1 or 2 layers of the original one, and then I did 1 to 2 layers of paint of this new hammered forged epic can. So that's really frustrating that after 2 days or more sitting under a ceiling fan on high, just hoping that it will dry out, that it's not dry yet. And if I set it on the table anywhere, or if anything's resting up against it, then the two fucking merge together. And I can't put any more paint on because you can kind of see we're starting to lose the detail of the runes a little bit because there's 3 or 4 coats of thick paint on here. That being said, I do like the texture that we're getting. I wish it looked maybe a little different, but I'm not totally disappointed with it. And I'll do some close-up shots to show you kind of the results we're getting. I think I'm done with the paint. And I don't know if I'll use this stuff again on the jewelry boxes because it's just not coming out how I hoped that it would. If you'll allow me to explain myself while we kind of look at these close-up shots, we're not done painting. I have a couple of ideas that I want to try out, some things that I want to do that I think will make it look better, and we'll visit that in the next episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stick around because we're going to finish this box, all right? I'm going to hit the accelerator. We're going to fly down the highway. I'll see you next time.